The conference room chair hit the floor with a crack that silenced 20 board members mid-sentence. Vanessa Sterling stood there, 8 months pregnant, water bottle spilling across her presentation. Her husband's mistress had just kicked her chair out from under her. And her millionaire CEO husband? He laughed. Pregnancy brain? Right, honey? In that moment, Vanessa realized three things. First, everyone in that room knew about the affair. Second, they'd all been waiting for her to figure it out. And third, the humiliation she felt right then would be nothing compared to what her husband was about to experience. Because while Derek Sterling was busy planning to push his pregnant wife into early retirement, Vanessa had just received an anonymous email. $87 million. Offshore accounts, federal crimes, and she had 4 days to decide, stay silent and lose everything, or blow up her entire life to expose the truth. The security camera footage of that chair hitting the floor would eventually become SEC Exhibit A47. But nobody in that room knew it yet. Nobody knew that the pregnant wife they just watched get humiliated was about to become the most dangerous person in the building. This is the true story of a woman who spent 6 years being convenient and 4 days dismantling an empire. What happened next changed everything. The conference room chair hit the floor with a crack that silenced 20 board members mid-sentence. Vanessa Sterling steadied herself against the mahogany table, 8 months pregnant and suddenly off balance. Her water bottle tumbled across the financial projections she'd spent 3 weeks preparing. Blue ink bled across the numbers like accusations. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," Amber Rothwell said. Her voice dripped with concern that didn't reach her eyes. "These heels, I didn't see your chair there." The room held its breath. 20 executives in $1,000 suits watching a pregnant woman try to maintain dignity while her husband's mistress stood over her. Derek Sterling laughed. Not a nervous laugh, a genuine, amused sound that carried across the marble and glass. "Vanessa's gotten a bit clumsy lately," he said. His hand settled on Amber's shoulder. "Proprietary. Comfortable. Pregnancy brain, right, honey?" The room erupted. Uncomfortable laughter from men who didn't want to seem humorless. Sympathetic sounds from the two other women present. Patricia Monroe's eyes met Vanessa's across the table. Silent apology. Shared understanding. Vanessa's phone buzzed against her hip. Text from Gina. "I saw the live feed. Come to my office now." She picked up her fallen chair. The baby kicked hard against her ribs. Protest or encouragement, she couldn't tell. Her hands shook as she gathered the wet papers. "I'll finish the presentation standing," Vanessa said. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. "The quarterly operations report shows a 12% increase in efficiency across all departments." She spoke for 17 minutes. Every word precise, every statistic memorized. The baby pressed against her bladder. Her ankles throbbed in heels she could barely fit into anymore. Amber sat in Derek's line of sight, legs crossed, taking notes that looked more like doodles. Derek asked 3 questions, all directed at Amber about financial strategy, none about the operations Vanessa had restructured, none acknowledging the efficiency gains she'd fought for. "Brilliant financial strategy, Amber," Derek said as the meeting concluded. "This is exactly why we promoted you to CFO." Vanessa gathered her materials, moved slowly, carefully. The conference room emptied around her, 20 executives fleeing to their offices, their assistants, their comfortable denial of what they'd just witnessed. Patricia paused at the door. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," Vanessa said. The lie tasted familiar, practiced. "Just pregnancy hormones." Patricia's jaw tightened. That's not what this was. But she left anyway. They all left. And Vanessa stood alone in the empty conference room with wet papers and a chair that had clattered to the floor. She walked to the bathroom, locked herself in the handicapped stall. The largest one, the only one where her belly didn't press against the door. She took out her phone, locked it, unlocked it, checked her reflection in the black screen, locked it again, unlocked. Deep breath, locked, unlocked. 3 times through the cycle before her hands stopped shaking. The bathroom door opened. Heels clicked across tile. Amber's voice floated over the stall dividers. "I'm telling you, she's a liability now," Amber said. Phone pressed to her ear, or maybe talking to someone else. "Emotional, distracted. Derek knows it. The board knows it. It's just a matter of time." The heels clicked out. The door swished shut. Silence pressed against Vanessa's ears like water. She sat on the closed toilet lid. Baby kicked again, harder this time. I know, she whispered. I know something's wrong. I've known for a while. Her phone buzzed. Gina again. Where are you? Vanessa stood, smoothed her maternity dress. It was navy blue, professional, expensive. She'd bought it specifically for board presentations, for looking competent despite her swollen belly. She'd bought it to prove she could still do her job. She walked to HR. Gina's office overlooked the parking lot. 8 floors down, the city moved at its normal pace. Cars, people, lives continuing while hers splintered. Sit, Gina said. She closed the door, locked it, pulled the blinds. Vanessa sat. The chair didn't fall. Gina spread papers across her desk. I need to show you something, and you need to promise not to shoot the messenger. What is this? Timeline. Gina's finger traced dates. Amber Rothwell hired 14 months ago. Derek's late nights started 13 months ago. Her CFO promotion 8 months ago. Your pregnancy announcement 7 months ago. The numbers arranged themselves like evidence, like proof of something Vanessa had been pretending not to see. They weren't even trying to hide it after you got pregnant, Gina said. I printed the expense reports before they could delete them. Company card at hotels. Restaurants, a jewelry store in Manhattan. Vanessa stared at the papers. Black ink on white, dates and dollar amounts, her husband's signature on approval forms. The lipstick, she said. At the investor dinner 6 months ago, on his collar, he said the dry cleaner mixed up his shirts. Vanessa, the weekend emergency meetings, the late conference calls, the way he started showering as soon as he got home. Her voice stayed flat, factual. I knew. Some part of me knew the whole time. Gina reached across the desk, held Vanessa's hand. What do I do? Vanessa asked. Whatever you need to do, but do it carefully. Document everything, and don't go home alone tonight. Vanessa gathered the papers, folded them into her bag. The baby shifted inside her, rolling over, getting comfortable in a space that kept shrinking. She took the elevator down. 8 floors in silence. The parking garage smelled like exhaust and concrete. Her Volvo sat in its designated spot, VP of Operations. The placard still made her proud. Nor it had. This morning, before the chair, before the laughter. She sat in the driver's seat, couldn't make herself start the engine. The steering wheel pressed against her belly. She adjusted the seat back, then forward, then back again. 7:03. The dashboard clock glowed green. 7:04, 7:05. Her phone rang. Derek, she let it go to voicemail. Text message. Where are you? This is childish. Second text. Vanessa, I'm worried. Think of the baby. Third text. If you're not home in 1 hour, I'm calling the police for a wellness check. She started the car, but she didn't drive home to Westchester. She drove to Bronxville, to the neighborhood where she grew up, to the house her parents owned before they retired to Florida. Different family now, different curtains in the windows, different car in the driveway. She parked across the street. 11 at night. The house glowed warm. Living room lights on. Someone's shadow moved past the window. A family, maybe happy, maybe performing happiness the way she'd been performing for 6 years. How did you ever know which was real? Her phone buzzed. Email notification. Unknown sender. Subject line, you deserve to know. She almost deleted it. Spam, malware, nothing good came from anonymous emails. But she opened it anyway. Check the Q3 offshore transfers. Cayman routing codes don't match reported subsidiaries. A friend. Attached. Spreadsheet. Highlighted cells. Millions in transfers that didn't make sense. Vanessa stared at the numbers. Her operations background, not finance. But patterns emerged anyway, dates that coincided with Amber's promotion. Sequential account numbers. Shell company names that sounded made up. Someone was stealing from Sterling Industries. The question wasn't who. The question was how much, and why someone was telling her about it. She saved the file to an encrypted drive, started the car, drove to the Ritz-Carlton in White Plains. The front desk clerk looked at her belly, her single overnight bag. Pity crossed his face. Business trip, Vanessa said. Of course, ma'am. Will your husband be joining you? No, he won't. Room 847, 8th floor, city lights through floor-to-ceiling windows. King bed she didn't have to share. Silence that felt like luxury. She didn't know it yet, but the security camera footage of that chair hitting the floor would become SEC Exhibit A47, the beginning of everything that came after. But tonight she just knew her chair had fallen. Her husband had laughed, and someone anonymous thought she deserved to know the truth. The hotel robe was too small. Vanessa tied it under her belly instead of around it. 2 in the morning, city lights made the room glow like permanent dusk. She'd ordered room service, club sandwich, fries, chocolate cake. The baby needed food. She needed fuel. For what, she didn't know yet. The spreadsheet glowed on her laptop screen. 47 pages of financial transfers, Cayman accounts, Delaware LLCs, routing numbers that didn't match any legitimate Sterling Industries subsidiaries. Her phone buzzed constantly. Derek, 47 missed calls, 12 voicemails she didn't listen to. Gina, text checking in every hour. And the unknown number. You're safe at the Ritz, don't go home yet. More coming tomorrow, a friend. Well, how did they know where she was? Vanessa pulled up Delaware's public business registry, typed in the shell company names from the spreadsheet. 3 LLCs, all registered within 2 months of each other, all with the same registered agent. Amber Rothwell, not Derek, Amber. The companies formed 2 months before her CFO promotion, before she had legitimate access to Sterling Industries accounts, before she could move money without raising flags. You weren't having an affair to steal my husband, Vanessa said to the empty room. You were stealing my husband to access the company. The baby kicked. Hard, like agreement, like warning. Vanessa's mind traveled backward, through the last 14 months, through every moment she'd explained away. Every red flag she'd sewn into a quilt of denial. The investor dinner, lipstick on Derek's collar, coral pink, Amber's signature shade. The dry cleaner mixed up the shirts. She'd believed him, wanted to believe him. Needed her marriage to be real. The weekend meetings, every Saturday for 6 months. Crisis with the Tokyo office. Tokyo was 13 hours ahead. Why would they meet on Saturday nights? She'd never asked, never pushed, afraid of what she'd find. The way Amber looked at her during the pregnancy announcement. 7 months ago, the full board assembled, Derek's hand on her shoulder. We're having a baby. Everyone had applauded, except Amber. She'd smiled, but her eyes held something else. Not surprise, pity. She'd known then, known that Vanessa was marking herself as temporary, as soon to be obsolete. Pregnancy meant maternity leave, meant distraction, meant Derek would need someone else to lean on. And Amber had positioned herself perfectly. Vanessa stood, paced the hotel room. 8 steps to the window, 8 steps back. Her body knew something her mind hadn't accepted yet. This wasn't just an affair. This was systematic, planned, executed with precision. She pulled up her own calendar, cross-referenced it with the offshore transfers. Every major movement of money happened during her business trips, when she flew to Chicago for operations reviews, to Boston for efficiency audits, to San Francisco for site inspections. While she was gone, Derek and Amber moved millions. The hotel room felt smaller, closer. The walls pressed in like the truth she'd been avoiding. She'd been so proud of her work. 12% efficiency increase, 3 departments restructured, cost savings that impressed the board. She'd worked through morning sickness, through exhaustion, through the baby pressing on her lungs until she couldn't breathe right. And Derek had smiled, nodded, said nothing, because her work didn't matter. Her contributions were background noise. She was useful for optics, for appearing to be the family man investors wanted to see. After the baby came, they transitioned her out. Health reasons, early retirement. She'd be 54. Too young for retirement, old enough to seem finished. Vanessa caught sight of herself in the darkened window. Reflection superimposed over the city. 8 months pregnant, barefoot in a too small robe, hair falling out of its professional twist. I look like a cliché, she said, the betrayed wife, pregnant and abandoned. That's what everyone will think. But her reflection showed something else too. Set jaw, clear eyes, hands steady now instead of shaking. I'm not the same woman who walked into that board meeting. Her phone buzzed. Email, 2:47 in the morning. Anonymous sender. Subject line, SEC anonymous tip line. Instructions, 3 attachments. Step-by-step guide for submitting evidence of securities fraud. Template for protecting whistleblower identity. Contact information for a forensic accountant who specialized in offshore schemes. A friend wasn't just warning her. A friend was building her a roadmap. Vanessa opened the documents, read every word. The instructions were detailed, specific. Whoever sent this new securities law knew what evidence the SEC needed, knew how to keep her safe while exposing the fraud. She looked at the spreadsheet again. $87 million over 14 months, from Sterling Industries accounts to Cayman banks to Delaware LLCs registered in Amber's name. Not just an affair, not just betrayal, federal crimes, securities fraud, tax evasion, wire fraud, money laundering, the kind of crimes that meant prison time. Dawn light started filtering through the windows, pink and gold, the city waking up. Vanessa had been awake all night. She should feel tired, should feel devastated, should feel broken. Instead, she felt clear, focused, angry in a cold, controlled way that felt like power. They thought pregnancy would make her weak. Emotional, easy to manage. They chose wrong. She opened her laptop, started typing, a detailed account of what she'd discovered. Timeline, evidence, copies of the spreadsheet, screenshots of Delaware registrations, everything documented, everything dated. She saved it, encrypted it, sent copies to 3 different cloud services. Then she showered, dressed in fresh clothes from her overnight bag, did her makeup carefully, professional, composed. In the mirror, she looked like the VP of operations who'd presented to the board yesterday, before the chair, before the laughter. But she wasn't that woman anymore. That woman had believed the lie, had chosen comfort over truth, had made herself small enough to fit in the space Derek allowed. This woman knew exactly what she was worth and what her husband had stolen. Her phone rang. Gina, are you okay? I'm better than okay, Vanessa said. I need you to do something for me. Print every expense report, every calendar entry, every email that mentions Amber, before they can delete anything. You're going after them. I'm going to the SEC today. Can you meet me for breakfast? Silence. Then, Scarsdale Cafe, 1 hour. I'll bring everything. Vanessa packed her bag, checked out of the hotel. The morning felt different, sharper, more real than the last 6 years had been. She'd spent so long pretending, performing the role of happy wife, successful executive, woman who had it all together. Now she could stop pretending. The truth was uglier, harder, but at least it was real. And real meant she could finally do something about it. Vanessa drove home at 7:30 in the morning. Derek's car sat in the circular driveway, unusual for this early. He typically left by 6 for his morning workout. Amber's red Mercedes gleamed beside it, not even subtle anymore. Vanessa parked at the bottom of the driveway, sat, the steering wheel pressed against her belly. The baby rolled over, settling, getting comfortable. Sorry, little one, she whispered, about to get complicated. She walked up the drive, each step deliberate. The house looked the same, white colonial, black shutters, manicured lawn, the American dream in architectural form. She'd loved this house once, loved the idea of filling it with children, with holiday dinners, with the life she'd imagined when Derek proposed. That was 4 years ago, before the late nights, before the distance, before she became useful instead of loved. The front door was unlocked. She entered through the mudroom, kicked off her shoes. Her feet ached. Everything ached. Pregnancy at 34 felt different than she'd expected. Harder, more exhausting. Or maybe that was betrayal. Maybe heartbreak had physical symptoms that mimicked third trimester discomfort. Voices drifted from Derek's study, his office, the room that used to be their sanctuary, where they'd talked about dreams, about building something together. When had she stopped being invited in? The door stood half open. She moved quietly. Her body knew how to be invisible. 6 years of making herself smaller had taught her that. Amber perched on Derek's desk, red skirt hiked up. His hand rested on her knee. Proprietary, comfortable, the same way he used to touch Vanessa. The quarterly report was embarrassing, Amber said. She's a liability now, emotional, distracted. The board noticed. Derek leaned back in his chair. Vanessa's useful for optics. Family man, pregnant wife, investors love that narrative. After the baby comes, we'll transition her out. Early retirement, health reasons. And us? His smile didn't reach his eyes. Divorce is expensive. Give it 18 months. Let her bond with the baby. She'll be easier to control when she's exhausted and desperate to avoid custody battles. Amber laughed. You're terrible. I'm practical. She served her purpose, built out operations, made the company look good. Now we need her to exit gracefully, without drama, without questions. What if she doesn't? She will. Vanessa always does what's expected. It's what makes her so convenient. The words landed like physical blows, each one precise, calculated, describing a woman Vanessa barely recognized. A woman she'd performed being for so long, she'd forgotten it was performance. Convenient. That's what she was. Not loved, not valued. Convenient. Every memory shifted, rearranged itself with this new context. Their wedding vows, Derek's hand on hers, forever. Had he meant it, or had she been convenient then too? VP of operations at his father's company. Connected, competent, good for business. The night they decided to try for a baby. I'm ready to be a father. Had that been love? Or had he calculated the investor appeal of family photos? Last week, his hand on her belly, the baby kicking under his palm. My child. Possessive. But was it affection or ownership? Vanessa backed away from the study. Silent. Careful. Years of making herself invisible paid off now. She made it to the master bedroom without sound. Her hands moved automatically. Opening drawers, packing a bag, laptop, phone charger, prenatal vitamins, the encrypted drive with evidence, comfortable clothes, maternity bras, everything she'd need for a few days away. She didn't pack everything. That would be too obvious. Just enough. Just what mattered. The nursery door stood open across the hall. She paused, looked inside. Perfect room, cream walls, hand-painted clouds, rocking chair they'd picked together at a boutique in Soho. Derek had insisted on the expensive one. Only the best for our baby. For his baby, his heir, his proof of family values. Lies, Vanessa whispered. All of it. Every single moment was a lie. Not the baby. The baby was real. The tiny person growing inside her. The kicks and rolls and hiccups. That was true, but everything else. The marriage, the partnership, the life she thought they were building, performance, strategy, convenience. She closed the nursery door, walked downstairs with her bag, out through the garage. The Volvo sat where she'd left it. Safest car for baby. That's what the salesman had said. 5-star safety ratings. Side impact protection. Practical Vanessa. Convenient Vanessa. Always doing what was expected. She threw the bag in the back seat, started the engine, backed down the driveway. Amber's Mercedes gleamed in the morning sun. Brand new. $80,000. Purchased with a company card 3 months ago. Business development vehicle. Everything was business development. The hotel rooms, the jewelry, the restaurants, all coded properly, all approved by the CEO, all theft, systematic, planned, executed while Vanessa traveled for work, while she made the company better, while she proved she could still be valuable even while pregnant. She drove. No destination, just away. North on the Hutchinson Parkway. Trees blurred past, green and gold. Summer turning to fall. Her phone buzzed. Derek. She ignored it. Text. Where are you? This is childish. Second text. Vanessa, I'm worried. Think of the baby. Third text. If you're not home in 1 hour, I'm calling the police for a wellness check. Always about control, never about concern. The threats wrapped in worry, the manipulation disguised as care. She'd fallen for it for 6 years, every time she questioned, every time she noticed something wrong. He'd smooth it over, explain it away, make her feel crazy for suspecting. Gaslighting. That's what Gina called it. Making someone doubt their own reality, their own perception, their own sanity. Vanessa had gaslit herself. Chosen to believe because believing meant her life still made sense, meant she hadn't wasted years, meant her marriage was real. But it wasn't, had never been. She'd been cast in a role, played her part perfectly, and now the director was writing her out. She pulled off the parkway, found herself in Bronxville again. The same street from last night, her childhood neighborhood. Different now. Bigger houses, expensive cars, the working class families replaced by hedge fund managers and tech executives. But the bones were the same. The street she'd learned to ride a bike on. The corner store where she'd bought candy. The life before Sterling Industries. Before Derek. Before she became convenient. She parked, watched the neighborhood wake up. Parents walking kids to school. Nannies pushing strollers. Normal people living normal lives. Or maybe they were all performing too. Maybe everyone's life was theater. Maybe happiness was just better acting. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Against instinct, she answered. Mrs. Sterling? This is Dr. Rebecca Sullivan. Your appointment was at 8. Are you okay? Vanessa had forgotten. Prenatal checkup, weekly now. 8 months meant monitoring, making sure everything stayed healthy. I'm sorry, Vanessa said. Can I reschedule? Are you experiencing any symptoms, bleeding, contractions, reduced fetal movement? No, I need a day. Silence, then. Come in now, we need to talk, off the record. Dr. Sullivan's office was in Scarsdale, 15 minutes away. Vanessa drove there on autopilot, checked in, sat in the waiting room with 3 other pregnant women, all glowing, all seemingly happy, all possibly lying too. Dr. Sullivan called her back. Exam room, closed door. The doctor's face held something other than professional distance. How long have I been your OBGYN? Dr. Sullivan asked. 3 years. You delivered my... Vanessa stopped. She'd almost said our. My pregnancy is my first. I need to tell you something. Off the record. As someone who cares about you. Not as your doctor. Vanessa's hands gripped the exam table. Okay. I delivered Derek Sterling's first wife's baby 7 years ago. Stillborn, 34 weeks. Hospital investigation suggested extreme maternal stress. They divorced 6 months later. The room tilted. Derek's first wife, Melissa Sterling, she left New York. Last I heard, Oregon. Started completely over. He never told me he was married before. Dr. Sullivan's jaw tightened. The hospital rumors, and these are just rumors, said he was having an affair during her pregnancy with someone from his father's company. The stress destroyed her. The baby, she stopped. I probably shouldn't tell you this. Please. The autopsy showed nothing physically wrong with the baby, just stopped developing around 30 weeks. Sometimes that happens when the mother's cortisol levels stay elevated too long. Chronic stress. The body decides it can't sustain both lives. Vanessa's hand went to her belly. The baby kicked. Strong, healthy, for now. Your blood pressure is elevated, Dr. Sullivan continued. Not dangerous yet. But Vanessa, whatever you're dealing with, your body is keeping score. I'm leaving him. I just haven't figured out how yet. Dr. Sullivan pulled out a business card, wrote a number on the back. Family attorney, friend of mine, specializes in high-asset divorces. She's ruthless in the best way, and she hates men who pull this shit. Vanessa took the card, tucked it in her purse next to the encrypted drive full of evidence. Thank you. The baby is healthy. You're healthy, physically. But Vanessa, stress like this, it's dangerous. For both of you. Whatever you need to do it fast. Don't drag it out. Vanessa left the clinic, sat in her car, stared at her reflection in the rearview mirror. Derek had done this before. Married a woman, got her pregnant, had an affair, discarded her when she became inconvenient. Melissa had lost her baby, lost her marriage, lost herself. Vanessa felt the baby move, rolling, stretching, running out of space. Not this time. This baby would be born healthy, into a life without lies, without performance, without a father who saw her as strategic asset. Her phone rang. Gina. Scarsdale Cafe in 20 minutes. I have everything you need. The cafe smelled like coffee and cinnamon, rich, warm, normal. Vanessa found Gina in the back corner booth, file folder on the table, 2 coffees, decaf for Vanessa. You look terrible, Gina said. I did not see. Did you go home? Briefly, Derek and Amber were there, having a conversation about my convenient exit strategy. Gina's expression hardened. You heard them? Every word. He's planning to transition me out 18 months after the baby's born, when I'm too exhausted to fight, too desperate to risk custody battles. Bastard. He's done this before. First wife, Melissa. She was pregnant. He had an affair. The stress killed the baby, stillborn at 34 weeks. Gina's coffee cup stopped halfway to her mouth. Jesus Christ. Dahar. Sullivan told me this morning, off the record. Hospital rumors, but it fits. Everything fits. Vanessa's hands shook. She pressed them flat against the table. The baby kicked hard. Protest or support? Impossible to tell. Gina slid the file folder across the table. Everything I could print before they notice. Personnel files, email chains, calendar entries, credit card statements, all approved by Derek, all coded as business expenses. Vanessa opened the folder. Page after page of evidence. Hotels in Manhattan, restaurants in Soho, a jewelry store receipt for $12,000. Tiffany's, engagement ring sizing. When was this? Vanessa asked. 4 months ago. 4 months ago, Vanessa was 5 months pregnant, beginning to show. Her wedding ring no longer fit over her swollen fingers. She'd moved it to her right hand. While her wedding ring came off, Derek was sizing a new one for Amber. I tried to tell you, Gina said softly, 3 times. You changed the subject every time. I thought, maybe you knew. Maybe you were handling it privately. Some couples have arrangements. I didn't know. I mean, I knew something was wrong, but I didn't. Vanessa stopped. I did know. Part of me knew the whole time. I just kept choosing to believe the lie. Because believing the truth meant my marriage was over. My family was gone. My whole life was a mistake. The words hung between them. Truth tasted bitter, like the decaf coffee cooling in front of her. How long have you really known? Gina asked. Vanessa thought back, retraced the timeline of denial. The investor dinner, 6 months ago, lipstick on his collar, coral pink, Amber's shade. He said the dry cleaner mixed up shirts. I wanted to believe him, so I did. Before that, the overnight conference in Boston, 8 months ago, right after Amber got promoted to CFO, he came home smelling like perfume. Not mine. He said he'd hugged a colleague goodbye. I believe that too. Before that, the week I told him I was pregnant, 7 months ago, he went silent, distant. For 3 days, he barely spoke to me. Then suddenly he was excited, supportive, perfect husband. But those 3 days, Vanessa's voice cracked. Those 3 days he was calculating, figuring out how this changed his plans with Amber. Gina reached across the table, held Vanessa's hand. They sat in silence. Coffee cooling, morning sun streaming through the windows. Somewhere a baby cried. Someone's phone rang. Normal sounds of normal lives. What are you going to do? Gina asked finally. I got an email last night. Anonymous. Someone sent me evidence of offshore fraud. $87 million moved to Cayman accounts and Delaware LLCs, all registered in Amber's name, all dated around her CFO promotion. Holy shit. The email included instructions for contacting the SEC, templates for whistleblower protection, contact info for a forensic accountant. Someone inside the company? Has to be. Someone with access to financial records. Someone who knew about the affair. Someone who saw what happened in the board meeting and decided enough was enough. Vanessa pulled out her phone, showed Gina the spreadsheet, the highlighted transfers, the shell company registrations. This is federal crimes, Gina said. Securities fraud, tax evasion, wire fraud. Derek could go to prison. Amber, too, she's the registered agent, her name on everything. She set this up before she even became CFO. She was planning this from the beginning. She didn't steal your husband. She stole your husband to steal from the company. Exactly. A woman at the next table glanced over, curious about their intensity, their whispered conversation. Vanessa lowered her voice. I need you to keep printing everything. Before they notice, before they start deleting. Can you do that? I already set up automatic backups. Everything goes to a personal cloud account. They can delete all they want. I have copies. You could lose your job. Good, I don't want to work for these people anyway. I've been looking for an excuse to blow this place up. Vanessa almost smiled. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is going to get ugly. High asset divorce, securities fraud investigation, SEC scrutiny. Your life is about to become a circus. Better than living a lie. They finished their coffee, made plans to meet again. Gina left first. Strategic, not obvious. Two executives having breakfast wasn't suspicious, but they needed to be careful now. Vanessa sat alone. The cafe buzzed around her. She pulled out the business card Dr. Sullivan had given her. Patricia Monroe, family attorney, specializes in high-asset divorces, ruthless in the best way. She dialed. Monroe Law. I'd like to schedule a consultation. Dr. Rebecca Sullivan referred me. Name? Vanessa Sterling. Pause. Sterling Industries? Yes. How soon can you come in? Today? 3 o'clock. Bring every document you have, every bank statement, every email, every piece of evidence. And Mrs. Sterling, don't tell your husband you're coming. I won't. Vanessa hung up. 3 o'clock, 4 hours away, 4 hours to prepare, to organize, to build the case that would end her marriage and save her life. She drove to a Staples, bought a portable scanner, flash drives, a fireproof document box, everything she needed to preserve evidence. Then she drove to a storage facility, rented a small unit under her maiden name, paid cash for 6 months, somewhere to keep copies, somewhere Derek couldn't access. By 2:30, she had everything organized. Documents scanned, cloud backups verified, physical copies in the storage unit, evidence secured. She drove to Patricia Monroe's office in White Plains, 5th floor of a modern building, glass and steel, views of the city. Patricia was 58. Gray hair cut sharp, suit that cost more than Vanessa's monthly salary used to be, eyes that missed nothing. Tell me everything, Patricia said. Vanessa did. The affair, the humiliation, the offshore fraud, the first wife who lost her baby, the plan to transition her out, every detail, every suspicion, every piece of evidence. Patricia took notes, asked questions. Her expression never changed. Professional, clinical. But her eyes got harder with each revelation. Here's what's going to happen, Patricia said. You're going to contact the SEC today. I'll arrange the meeting. You're going to give them everything. The offshore transfers, the shell companies, the evidence of securities fraud. If I do that, Derek will know I'm the source. He's going to know anyway. Better to control the narrative. Better to be the whistleblower than the conspirator's wife. I didn't conspire. I know that. The SEC will know that. But the media won't care unless you get ahead of this. Unless you're the one who exposed it. Vanessa's hands went to her belly. The baby kicked, restless, running out of room. I'm 8 months pregnant. My husband is about to be arrested for federal crimes. How do I do this? Carefully, strategically, and with me making sure you're protected every step of the way. I'm not just your divorce attorney, Vanessa. I'm your general counsel now. Everything goes through me. Every contact with the SEC, every conversation with Derek, every public statement. You don't make a move without consulting me first. Okay, good. Now let's call Howard Mitchell. He's the SEC investigator I've worked with before. He's good, fair, and he hates corporate fraud more than anyone I've ever met. Patricia dialed. put it on speaker. Mitchell, Howard, it's Patricia Monroe. I have a client I think you'll want to meet. She has evidence of securities fraud at Sterling Industries. $87 million, offshore accounts, shell companies. And she's the CEO's pregnant wife. Silence then. When can she come in? Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, my office. And Howard, this one's going to be big. They always are with you, Patricia. She hung up, looked at Vanessa. Go home tonight. Act normal. Don't let Derek know anything's changed. Tomorrow, we start the process. Tomorrow, your life gets complicated. But tonight, you're still just his pregnant wife. Can you do that? Vanessa thought about it, going home, pretending, performing the role she'd been playing for 6 years. One more night of lies. I've been acting for 6 years, she said. I can do one more night. Vanessa pulled into the driveway at 8 o'clock, Derek's car in the garage. Lights on throughout the house. Normal evening, normal Tuesday. Nothing had changed, except everything had changed. She'd stopped at Target, bought prenatal magazines, nursery decor samples, props for the performance. Evidence of a wife still engaged in preparing for their baby. The front door opened before she reached it. Derek stood backlit, concerned husband, worried father-to-be. Where have you been? Relief and anger mixed in his voice. I've been calling all day. I was about to file a missing persons report. I stayed with Gina last night. I needed space after yesterday's board meeting. The hormones. She let her voice crack. I felt so humiliated. His expression softened, or performed softening. Hard to tell the difference anymore. Come here. He pulled her into a hug, the baby pressed between them. His hand on her back, proprietary, possessive. I'm sorry about yesterday. Amber feels terrible. It was an accident. I know. I overreacted. Pregnancy brain, right? He pulled back, studied her face, looking for cracks in the performance, looking for signs she knew more than she was saying. She kept her expression neutral, exhausted, emotional. Everything he expected from his pregnant, convenient wife. Are you okay? He asked. I'm tired. I just want to take a bath and go to bed. Have you eaten? I grabbed something. Let me order you dinner. What do you want? This was the Derek people saw. Attentive, caring. The husband who ordered his pregnant wife's favorite foods. Who made sure she rested. Who played his role as perfectly as she played hers. Thai, the usual. He ordered pad Thai, spring rolls, mango sticky rice. Everything she actually liked. He knew her preferences, her favorites. He'd studied her the way he studied business competitors, learned her patterns, used them against her. They ate in the dining room, mahogany table that seated 12, crystal chandelier, Sterling Industries success on display. Derek talked about work, the Tokyo deal, the investor presentation, the quarterly projections, normal conversation, normal topics. She asked the right questions, made the right comments. The good corporate wife, interested in his success, supportive of his ambitions. After the baby comes, we should discuss your role, Derek said. Casual, like he was suggesting vacation plans. The board thinks maybe you should take extended leave. Focus on motherhood for a while. There's no rush to come back. How long were you thinking? A year, maybe 2, until she's in preschool. You won't want to miss those early years. The baby was she. They'd found out at the 20-week ultrasound. A daughter. Vanessa had cried. Derek had smiled, calculated. A daughter meant different optics than a son, different strategic value. That's a long time to be away from operations, Vanessa said carefully. We'll figure it out. Amber's been doing excellent work. She could absorb some of your responsibilities. Temporarily. Temporarily. Like the affairs were temporary. Like Melissa had been temporary. Like Vanessa was temporary. I'll think about it, she said. Good. That's all I'm asking. Just consider what's best for the baby. What's best for the baby. Never what's best for Vanessa. Never acknowledging she might want both. Career and motherhood. Success and family. They finished dinner. Derek loaded the dishwasher. Model husband. Helpful partner. Performance for an audience of one. I'm going to take a bath, Vanessa said. Want me to run it for you? No, I've got it, thanks. She climbed the stairs slowly, hand on the railing, baby heavy, body tired, 8 months of carrying another life, 8 months of performing happiness. Only one more night. Tomorrow everything changed. The master bathroom was marble and glass, soaking tub with jets. Derek's idea, luxury for luxury's sake. She filled it with warm water, lavender bath salts, vanilla candle on the counter. She sank into the water, let it cover her belly. The baby kicked, protesting the compression or enjoying the warmth. Hard to tell. This tub, this bathroom, this house, all symbols of the life she'd thought she was building, the future she'd imagined, the partnership that never existed. Her phone sat on the closed toilet lid. Text from Patricia. Meeting confirmed, 10 a.m., SEC Field Office, Lower Manhattan. I'll meet you there at 9:30. Don't be late. And Vanessa, tonight, be careful. Don't provoke. Don't confront. Just survive. Just survive. That's what she'd been doing for 6 years, surviving, making herself small enough to fit, convenient enough to keep, useful enough to delay discard. Tomorrow she stopped surviving. Tomorrow she fought back. She stayed in the tub until the water cooled, until her fingers pruned, until she could trust herself to go back out there and maintain the act. Derek was in bed when she emerged, reading on his tablet, investor reports probably, or emails with Amber, planning, strategizing, preparing for the life after Vanessa. She put on pajamas, the maternity kind that stretched over her belly, climbed into her side of the bed, their California king. Plenty of space for two people who'd stopped touching months ago. Good night, Derek said, kissed her forehead. Routine, mechanical. Good night. He turned off the light, rolled away, asleep within minutes. The sleep of someone with nothing to fear, nothing to hide, or someone so accustomed to hiding that conscience never disturbed rest. Vanessa lay awake, baby moving inside her, rolling, stretching, preparing for a world she'd enter in less than 4 weeks. A world without this house, without this marriage, without the father who saw her as strategic asset, but a world with truth, with freedom, with a mother who finally chose herself. At 2 a.m, Vanessa got up. Couldn't lie still anymore. Couldn't breathe in that room with Derek sleeping peacefully beside her. She walked through the house, every room, memorizing, not with nostalgia, with documentation, mental inventory of what she'd leave behind. The living room with furniture they'd picked together, or she'd picked while he approved, hard to remember which. The dining room where they'd hosted dinner parties, performed happiness for investors, for board members, for friends who probably knew the truth anyway. The kitchen where she'd made breakfast on Sunday mornings, trying to create normalcy, trying to build family rituals that might make the marriage real. The study where Derek spent hours, his sanctuary, his space where he'd planned her exit with Amber yesterday morning. The nursery, she saved it for last. Perfect room, cream walls with hand-painted clouds, crib they'd assembled together, rocking chair from Soho, changing table stocked with diapers and wipes and tiny clothes. She sat in the rocking chair, hand on her belly. "I'm sorry you're coming into this mess," she whispered. "But I promise you, you're getting a mother who knows her worth. That's worth more than a mansion. That's worth more than a father who only sees you as optics." The baby kicked, agreement or protest, impossible to know. Sunrise started filtering through the nursery window, pink and gold. New day, last day of the lie. Vanessa showered, dressed carefully, professional, conservative navy blue maternity dress, the one she wore to important meetings, the one that made her look competent despite her swollen belly. Derek was already downstairs, coffee brewing, business news on TV, morning routine. "Sleep okay?" he asked. "Fine, you?" "Good, I have an 8 o'clock investor call. I'll be in the study." "Okay, I have appointments today, prenatal checkup, then some errands." "Want me to come to the appointment?" He asked every week. She always said no. He always looked relieved. "No need, just routine." "Okay, see you tonight." He kissed her cheek, grabbed his coffee, disappeared into his study. Vanessa stood in the kitchen, their kitchen, for the last time as his wife who didn't know better. She grabbed her purse, the one with the flash drives, the evidence, the proof of everything he'd done. She drove to Manhattan, morning traffic on the Hutchinson Parkway, same drive she'd made hundreds of times for work, for meetings, for operations reviews that made Sterling Industries better while her husband stole from it. Patricia met her in the lobby at 9:30, sharp suit, briefcase, expression that meant business. "Ready?" Patricia asked. "As ready as I'll ever be. Remember, tell them everything. Don't minimize, don't protect him. The truth, all of it. That's the only way this works." They took the elevator to the 23rd floor. SEC field office. Glass doors. Professional silence. The kind of place where careers ended and criminal cases began. Howard Mitchell waited in a conference room. 52. Tired eyes. Patient expression. The look of someone who'd seen every corporate fraud scheme and still got angry at each new one. "Mrs. Sterling, thank you for coming. Call me Vanessa." "Vanessa, I'm Howard. This is Marcus Webb, our forensic accountant. We've been investigating Sterling Industries for 11 months. Your information yesterday provided the missing piece." Vanessa sat, Patricia beside her, two men across the table, recording device on the surface. Official, documented, real. "I didn't send anything yesterday," Vanessa said. Howard and Marcus exchanged glances. "Someone using your company email sent us 47 pages of financial documents, offshore transfers, shell company registrations, all authenticated with your digital signature. You're saying that wasn't you?" Vanessa's breath caught. Someone had used her identity, her access, her digital signature. "I received an anonymous email the night before last, evidence of offshore fraud, instructions for contacting the SEC, but I didn't send anything to you directly. I was going to, but I hadn't yet." "Someone's protecting you," Marcus said, "or framing you, hard to tell which." "Who has access to your email?" Howard asked. "IT department, Derek as my husband, Amber as CFO, anyone with administrator access to company systems." "Convenient," Marcus muttered. "They can make it look like you sent evidence. If this goes sideways, you're the fall guy." Patricia leaned forward. "Which is why we're here now, voluntarily, with our own copies of everything, time-stamped, authenticated. My client is not a co-conspirator. She's a witness, and she deserves full immunity." Howard studied Vanessa, looking for tells, for signs of deception, for cracks in the story. "Tell me everything," he said, "from the beginning." Vanessa did. The affair, the board meeting, the chair, Derek's laugh, the anonymous email, the offshore transfers, the shell companies in Amber's name. The timeline that showed systematic fraud coinciding with Amber's promotion. She told them about Melissa, the first wife, the stillborn baby, the pattern of discard. She told them about yesterday. Overhearing Derek and Amber plan her exit. Convenient, useful, temporary. She told them everything. 3 hours of testimony, of evidence, of building the case that would destroy Sterling Industries and her marriage. Marcus spread documents across the table, highlighted sections, traced money flows. "Your husband and Ms. Rothwell have been systematically moving investor capital offshore, 87 million over 14 months. They're good, very good, but they got greedy, started moving larger amounts, triggered our algorithms. We've been building this case for almost a year," Howard said, "but we couldn't connect the Cayman accounts to Sterling Industries. The shell companies were too well hidden, until now. With your documentation, we have everything we need." "What happens next?" Vanessa asked. "We move fast, before they realize we're closing in. Before they can delete evidence or move money, we need your cooperation, full disclosure, and," he paused, "we need you to wear a wire." Vanessa's hand went to her belly. The baby kicked, hard. "I'm 8 months pregnant. You want me to?" "One board meeting, that's all. Get them talking about the offshore accounts, about the transfers, about their plans. We need them to incriminate themselves. Audio evidence to match the financial evidence. And if they suspect, then we move sooner. But Vanessa, we need this. Without the audio, they can claim ignorance, can blame subordinates, can say they were misled. With their own voices admitting it, we have them. Vanessa looked at Patricia. What do you think? I think it's dangerous. I think you're vulnerable. But I also think it's the only way to ensure you're seen as witness, not accomplice. The only way to control the narrative. When? Tomorrow. Next board meeting is scheduled for 10. Financial review. Perfect opportunity. Tomorrow, Vanessa repeated. I go home tonight, to Derek, pretend everything's normal. Then tomorrow I walk into a board meeting wearing a wire. You don't have to, Howard started. Yes, I do, because if I don't, he wins. He transitions me out, takes my career, takes our daughter, lives his life with Amber while I'm erased. I'm not doing that. I'm not being convenient anymore. Howard nodded. Okay. Patricia, we'll need to coordinate. Get the wire fitted. Brief Vanessa on protocols. And Mrs. Sterling, Vanessa, thank you. What you're doing takes courage. It takes anger, Vanessa said. Courage is facing fear. I'm past fear. I'm just furious. The wire was smaller than Vanessa expected. Thin microphone taped under her maternity blouse. Receiver clipped to her bra. Battery pack in her purse. It'll pick up everything within 15 feet, the tech explained. Don't touch it. Don't adjust it. Just act natural. We'll be listening in real time. If anything feels dangerous, say the phrase, I need some water. That's the abort signal. Patricia drilled her on protocols. What to say, what not to say, how to guide conversation without being obvious. You're not trying to entrap them, Patricia said. You're just asking questions any concerned executive would ask. About the offshore accounts, about the Cayman transfers, about financial strategy. Let them incriminate themselves. Don't push. Vanessa drove home at 6, Derek's car already there. He rarely beat her home. Something felt off. She entered through the front door, found him in the living room. Scotch in hand, face tight. Where were you all day? Not worried, accusatory. I told you, prenatal checkup, then errands, shopping for the baby. Your checkup was at 8. It's 6 now. That's 10 hours. I had lunch with Gina, looked at nursery furniture, went to Target. Lies mixed with truth. Easier to remember. Why are you tracking my time? I'm not tracking. I'm concerned. You've been distant, secretive. It's not like you. Because you don't know me, Vanessa wanted to say. You know the convenient version, the performed version, not the real woman underneath. I'm pregnant and emotional and exhausted, she said instead. I'm dealing with a lot right now. The board meeting, I know. Amber feels terrible about that. She wants to apologize. I invited her for dinner tonight. Vanessa's blood ran cold. Tonight? She's bringing Thai food. Should be here any minute. I thought it might help. Clear the air, the three of us working through it like adults. The three of us, like they were a unit, a partnership, with Vanessa as the outsider being managed. I'm tired, Derek. I don't think... The doorbell rang. Amber's timing perfect, calculated, probably coordinated with Derek before Vanessa got home. Derek opened the door. Amber entered with bags of takeout. Smiled at Vanessa, apologetic expression, performance matching Derek's. Vanessa, I'm so glad you're here. I felt horrible about yesterday. The chair thing was completely accidental. These heels, she gestured at her stilettos. I'm a disaster in them. It's fine, Vanessa said. I overreacted. You didn't. You had every right to be upset. Pregnant. In front of the whole board. I made you look foolish. I'm so sorry. The apology sounded genuine. Practiced. Amber was good. Better than Vanessa had given her credit for. They sat at the dining room table, spread out the Thai food, pad Thai, spring rolls, curries, enough for 5 people, not 3. Abundance as peace offering. Derek poured wine for himself and Amber, water for Vanessa, never asked any more, just assumed. The pregnant wife, limited, restricted, convenient. So the quarterly numbers look good, Derek said, casual, like this was normal, dinner with wife and mistress. The offshore accounts are performing well. Vanessa's pulse quickened. The wire picked up everything. She needed to keep them talking. Which offshore accounts? She asked. The Cayman subsidiaries? Those and the newer LLCs, Amber said. The Delaware entities we set up last year. The returns have been excellent. I didn't realize we had Delaware entities. When did those get approved by the board? Derek and Amber exchanged glances, brief, telling. Board gave me discretion for international expansion, Derek said. The Delaware companies are just holding entities. Tax optimization, standard practice. But 87 million seems like a lot for holding entities. Silence, fork scraping against plate, ice cubes settling in glasses. How do you know about the 87 million, Amber asked. Voice careful, controlled. Vanessa's mind raced. She'd revealed too much, pushed too hard. I saw it in the quarterly report, the international transfers line item. That's aggregated, Derek said. Multiple transactions, multiple accounts. How did you get to 87 specifically? Think, stay calm, don't abort yet. I pulled the detailed reports, part of my operations review. I like to understand the full picture. Derek's expression shifted. Not anger, calculation. Vanessa, those accounts aren't part of operations. That's Amber's domain. Financial strategy. You don't need to concern yourself with that. But I'm VP of operations. Everything affects operations. If we're moving that much capital offshore, it impacts domestic operations. Supply chain financing, vendor payments. I need to understand the whole ecosystem. Reasonable, professional, the explanation any good executive would give. Amber leaned forward. The offshore strategy is complex. Multiple jurisdictions, tax treaties, currency hedging. It's not something we typically loop operations into. Why not? Shouldn't all executives understand company financial strategy? Of course. But Derek and I handle the high-level strategy. You focus on execution. That's the division of labor we've established. Division of labor. Vanessa handles operations. Derek and Amber handle stealing $87 million. I'd like to understand it better, Vanessa pressed. Maybe you could walk me through the structure, which Delaware entities, how the money flows, return on investment. Derek stood. I think we've talked enough business for tonight. Vanessa, you look exhausted. Why don't you head up to bed? Amber and I will clean up. Dismissed, managed. The convenient wife sent away while the adults finished their conversation. Actually, I'm interested too, Vanessa said. In my condition, I can't do much at work, but I can study, learn, prepare for when I return from maternity leave. Understanding the financial strategy would help me align operations more effectively. The lie came smoothly. The good executive, eager to learn, to contribute, to be valuable. Amber's smile tightened. There's really not much to explain. We move money to low-tax jurisdictions. It grows. We bring it back when favorable treaty windows open. Standard corporate practice. But 87 million, that's 20% of our annual revenue. Seems high for standard practice. Vanessa. Derek's voice went cold. Drop it. This isn't your area. You do not need to understand everything. Just trust that Amber and I know what we're doing. Trust. The word he'd used for 6 years. Trust me. Trust that I'm working late for good reasons. Trust that the lipstick is dry cleaning mistakes. Trust that I'm not destroying our life while you carry our child. I do trust you, Vanessa said. I'm just trying to be a better executive, to understand the business more holistically. After the baby comes, you can sit down with Amber. She'll explain everything. But right now, you need to focus on your health, on the pregnancy, on preparing for motherhood. Let us handle the business side. There it was, the dismissal, the transition. Starting now, not in 18 months. Now, while she was still pregnant, still vulnerable, still convenient. The baby kicked hard. Vanessa's hand went to her belly. You're right, she said. I'm tired. I should rest. Thank you for dinner, Amber, and for the apology. Of course, we're all family here. Family, the word twisted. Family didn't steal, didn't betray, didn't plan exits while maintaining performance. Vanessa climbed the stairs, heard their voices drop to whispers below. Urgent, concerned. Had she said too much? Had they suspected? She reached the bedroom, closed the door, pressed her ear against it. Derek's voice drifted up. She's asking too many questions. About the offshore accounts. About the 87 million. How did she even know that number? The quarterly reports, Amber said. She must have pulled detailed financials. We need to restrict her access tonight before she digs deeper. I'll call it, have her credentials downgraded, operations only, no financial systems. What if she's already pulled everything? Then we delete what we can, cover tracks, move money faster. The Tokyo deal closes next week. After that, we liquidate the Cayman accounts, disappear the money. Even if she has evidence, we'll be gone. Vanessa's hand went to the wire under her blouse. Every word recorded, every admission captured. She had them. Howard was right. Audio evidence to match the financial fraud. Their own voices, planning, plotting, preparing to disappear $87 million. Her phone buzzed. Text from Patricia. That was perfect. We have everything we need. Extraction team ready. Say the word and we get you out tonight. Vanessa sat on the bed, baby moving inside her, rolling, stretching, running out of room, just like Vanessa, running out of time, running out of space to maneuver. Tomorrow was the board meeting, the raid. The moment everything broke open. Could she survive one more night in this house? One more night lying beside a man who'd planned her erasure? She texted back, I can do one more night, execute tomorrow as planned. Patricia, you're sure? I'm sure, let's finish this. Vanessa stood, walked to the nursery, sat in the rocking chair. Last time in this room as Derek's wife. Last time pretending this life was real. Tomorrow the SEC would raid the board meeting. Tomorrow Derek and Amber would be arrested. Tomorrow her marriage would end in the most public way possible. But tonight she was still convenient, still useful, still playing her part. The door opened. Derek stood backlit. You okay? He asked. Just sitting with the baby, feeling her move. He crossed the room, knelt beside the chair, put his hand on her belly. The baby kicked against his palm. Our daughter, he said, soft, almost genuine. She's going to be perfect. His daughter, his legacy, his strategic asset. Vanessa put her hand over his. Last time she'd touch him as his wife. Last time she'd pretend this moment meant what it should mean. She'll be strong, Vanessa said. She'll never let anyone make her convenient. Derek looked up, confused. What? Nothing. Pregnancy thoughts, hormones. He stood, kissed her forehead. Get some rest. Big day tomorrow. Board meeting, financial review. We need you present but not disruptive. Present but not disruptive. The perfect summary of how he saw her role in the company, in their marriage, in his life. I'll be there, Vanessa said. 10 o'clock. Wouldn't miss it. Vanessa woke at 5. Couldn't sleep anymore. Derek snored softly beside her. Peaceful, untroubled. The sleep of someone who believed their secrets were safe. She showered, dressed carefully. The same navy blue maternity dress from yesterday. Professional, conservative. The costume for her final performance. The wiretech met her in the parking garage at 8, fitted her with a fresh battery pack, tested the audio. Everything's working perfectly, he said. We have teams positioned outside Sterling Industries. The moment we have enough on tape, we move in. Should be around 10:47. 17 minutes into the financial review. Stay calm. Don't react when we enter. Let us control the room. Vanessa nodded, couldn't speak. Terror and anticipation mixed into something that felt like power. She drove to the office, arrived at 9:30, early. Board meeting didn't start until 10. She needed time to compose herself, to prepare. Patricia called. How are you feeling? Terrified, excited, ready. Remember, you're just there for the operations update. You ask normal questions. You let Derek and Amber hang themselves. The moment it gets dangerous, abort. We can always move sooner. I know, but Patricia, I want to see their faces when the doors open, when they realize. I want to watch them understand that I won. Vanessa, I spent 6 years being convenient, making myself small, letting them treat me like I was temporary. I want them to see me, really see me, when their world ends. Silence. Then, okay, but be careful. Revenge feels good until it doesn't. Focus on survival, on your daughter, on the life after this. I will, after I watch them get what they deserve. The conference room filled at 9:55. 20 board members, same room, same table, same chairs. Except Vanessa's chair sat exactly where she'd placed it. Stable, unmovable. Derek arrived at 9:58, Amber beside him. Neither looked at Vanessa. Strategic. The affair was supposedly secret. They had to maintain distance, maintain performance. Robert Sterling, Derek's father, entered last. 77 years old. Company founder. Retired 3 years ago. Still attended major board meetings. Still held moral weight. He smiled at Vanessa. How are you feeling? Not long now. 4 weeks. I'm ready. Motherhood changes everything. Best thing that ever happened to me. Derek wouldn't be who he is without his mother's influence. Derek wouldn't be a fraud and a cheat without his mother's influence. Probably not what Robert meant. The meeting started. Routine items, operations report, market analysis, competitor intelligence. Vanessa presented her quarterly numbers. 12% efficiency increase. Cost savings across 3 departments. The work she'd done while Derek stole $87 million. Polite applause. Professional acknowledgement. Then Amber stood. Financial review, she announced. Quarterly performance exceeded projections. Revenue up 8%. Profit margins stable. International operations showing strong growth. She advanced slides, charts, graphs, everything looking legitimate. Professional. The kind of presentation that won awards. Our offshore strategy continues to pay dividends, Amber said. The Cayman accounts returned 11% this quarter. Delaware entities generated additional tax savings of $3 million. Aggressive but legal tax optimization. Vanessa raised her hand. Can you explain the Delaware entity structure? I've been trying to understand how the money flows. Amber's smile tightened. It's complex. Multiple jurisdictions, tax treaties, currency hedges. Not something we typically... But for the board's benefit, Vanessa interrupted. Robert, you founded this company on transparency. Don't we owe it to all board members to understand our financial structure, even if it's complex? Robert nodded. Vanessa's right. Transparency is important. Amber, walk us through it. The Delaware entities, how they connect to the Cayman accounts, how money moves. Amber looked at Derek. Help me. He stepped in. The structure is proprietary, Derek said. Competitive advantage. If our competitors understood our tax strategy, all cost sacrifice, they could replicate it. We prefer to keep these details confidential, even from the full board. Confidential from your own board? Robert's voice sharpened. That's not how I ran this company. Times have changed, Dad. Competitive intelligence, industrial espionage. We have to protect our strategies. By hiding them from the board, from the people who oversee this company? Tension crackled through the room. Board members shifted, uncomfortable, sensing conflict, sensing something wrong. 10:42, 5 minutes before the raid. I'm sure it's fine, Vanessa said, playing peacemaker, the convenient wife. Derek and Amber obviously have the company's best interests at heart. If they say the strategy is sound, we should trust them. Trust, the magic word, the one Derek always used, the one that made him relax. Exactly, Derek said. Thank you, Vanessa. Now, if we can move on. The conference room doors opened, crashed open. 8 people entered. Suits, badges, federal agents. Howard Mitchell led them. Nobody move. We have warrants for the arrest of Derek Sterling and Amber Rothwell. Securities fraud, tax evasion, wire fraud, money laundering. The room froze. 20 board members, 2 criminals, 1 pregnant whistleblower, and 8 federal agents. Derek's face went white, then red. His eyes found Vanessa, knew immediately. You did this. Howard stepped between them. Actually, Mr. Sterling, you did this. Mrs. Sterling just provided documentation of your crimes. You have the right to remain silent. Amber tried to run. Agent blocked the door. She spun, panicked, trapped. This was your plan. I just executed it. Tell them. Derek's mask shattered. I have no idea what she's talking about. Amber handled all offshore accounts independently. I trusted her. She betrayed that trust. She betrayed this company. You bastard! Amber lunged. Two agents grabbed her, held her back. You set this up. The Delaware entities were your idea. The Cayman transfers were your strategy. I have emails. I have recordings. You're not pinning this on me. Then you'll both go to prison, Howard said calmly. Derek Sterling, Amber Rothwell. You're under arrest. Robert Sterling stood, shaking, face pale. Is this true, everything they're saying? Vanessa met his eyes. I'm sorry, Robert. I found evidence 3 days ago. $87 million moved to offshore accounts. Shell companies registered in Amber's name. Systematic fraud over 14 months. I contacted the SEC. I gave them everything. My son, Robert's voice cracked. My son stole from the company his mother built. Dad, I can explain, Derek started. Don't say another word. Your mother would be ashamed. I'm ashamed. He turned to Vanessa. Thank you for protecting the company, for having the courage my son lacked. Patricia Monroe entered, calm, professional. Gentlemen, I'm resigning as general counsel effective immediately. I'll be representing Mrs. Sterling in all subsequent civil litigation. Derek, Amber, I recommend you both lawyer up. This is going to be very expensive. The agents cuffed Derek, cuffed Amber. Read them their rights, professional, efficient, the machinery of justice grinding into motion. They perp-walked them past the remaining board members, past Robert, past Vanessa. Derek looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in years, saw not the convenient wife, not the useful executive, but the woman who destroyed him. I loved you, he said. No, you loved what I could do for you. There's a difference, which, They led him away. Amber screaming threats, blaming him, blaming everyone, unraveling in real time. The conference room emptied, board members fleeing, lawyers arriving, chaos spreading through Sterling Industries like fire. Vanessa stood at the window. Watched Derek and Amber loaded into separate federal vehicles. News cameras already gathering outside. Someone had tipped off the media. Probably Patricia. Control the narrative. Get ahead of the story. The baby kicked hard, strong, insistent. You're seeing your father arrested, Vanessa said, hand on her belly. I'm sorry, but you're also seeing your mother stand up. Remember the second part. Gina entered. Holy shit, you actually did it. We did it. You gave me the files. Someone gave me the offshore evidence. Patricia gave me protection. Howard gave me the opportunity. I just finally got angry enough to stop making excuses. What happens now? Now I become the villain in Derek's story, the vengeful wife, the woman who destroyed his life. The media will have a field day. Pregnant wife turns in husband. They'll make me into either a victim or a bitch. No middle ground. Screw them. You saved this company. You exposed fraud. You protected investors. You're a hero. Vanessa looked at her reflection in the window. Navy blue maternity dress. 8 months pregnant. Standing in the conference room where her chair had fallen 4 days ago. I don't feel like a hero. I feel like someone who finally stopped being convenient. Patricia appeared in the doorway. We need to go now. Media is assembling. Investigators will want follow-up statements. And Vanessa, Derek's attorney, is already trying to negotiate. Claims you're an unreliable witness. Pregnancy hormones, emotional instability, vindictive spouse. We need to get ahead of this. Let them say what they want. I have recordings, documentation, evidence. The truth isn't up for debate. The truth never stops people from creating their own narrative. Come on, time to face the cameras. Vanessa gathered her things, walked out of the conference room, through Sterling Industries offices, past employees who stared, whispered, judged, the wife who destroyed the CEO, the pregnant woman who brought down an empire, the cautionary tale being written in real time. Outside, cameras flashed, reporters shouted questions. Patricia guided her through the crowd. Professional shield, legal buffer. Mrs. Sterling, did you know about the fraud? Mrs. Sterling, is it true you're divorcing? Mrs. Sterling, how does it feel to send your child's father to prison? She didn't answer. Let Patricia handle it. Statement prepared, delivered with precision. My client acted as a concerned citizen and corporate executive. She discovered evidence of securities fraud. She reported it to appropriate authorities. She cooperated fully with federal investigators. She looks forward to Sterling Industries recovering from this betrayal. No further questions. They pushed through to Patricia's car, drove away from the chaos, away from Sterling Industries, away from the life Vanessa had performed for 6 years. Where to? Patricia asked. Home, I need to pack. I can't stay there tonight. Not with Derek's things. Not with his cologne in the bathroom and his suits in the closet and his lies soaked into every surface. I have a client with a vacant apartment in Tribeca, furnished, available immediately. Want me to arrange it? Yes, please, somewhere clean, somewhere that doesn't smell like him. Her phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. You did the right thing, the hard thing, the brave thing. She's watching you fight. She'll remember. A friend. Vanessa stared at the message. The anonymous helper, the one who'd sent the initial evidence. Who'd known she was at the Ritz? Who'd used her email to send documents to the SEC? Who were they? Why had they helped? What did they gain from exposing the fraud? Questions for another day. Right now, she just needed to survive, to get through the next hour, the next day, the next 4 weeks until the baby came, to build a life after Derek, after Sterling Industries, after being convenient. The life where she was just Vanessa, mother, survivor, woman who knew her worth. That life started now. 6 weeks later, Vanessa's apartment in Tribeca was small. 1 bedroom, kitchenette, living room that doubled as everything else. But it was hers. Every surface, every corner, hers. Elena slept in the bassinet beside the couch. 3 weeks old, 7 pounds, perfect fingers, perfect toes, perfect except for the father she'd never know. Vanessa sat in the rocking chair. 3 in the morning. Feeding time. The quiet hours when the city slept and mother stayed awake. Elena's warm weight against her chest. Tiny hand wrapped around Vanessa's finger. Complete trust. Complete dependence. Complete love. Your father made terrible choices, Vanessa whispered. But you're going to grow up watching your mother rebuild. That's the story you'll know. The birth had been complicated, 37 weeks, early but healthy. Blood pressure spiked, emergency induction. 14 hours of labor. Patricia had been there. Gina had been there. Robert Sterling had been there. Derek had not. Federal prison didn't grant leave for births, especially not when the mother had testified against you. He'd pleaded guilty, 15 years. Amber got 20. Turned state's evidence, but still culpable. They'd both started serving their sentences 2 weeks ago. The media had been vicious. Pregnant wife destroys husband. Gold digger targets CEO. Vindictive spouse ruins family business. Every narrative except the true one. But some outlets got it right. Whistleblower protects investors. Executive exposes fraud. Woman chooses truth over comfort. Those stories didn't trend, but they existed. Sterling Industries was recovering. Robert had returned as interim CEO, restructuring, repaying investors, rebuilding reputation. 73 cents on the dollar so far. Not perfect, but surviving. He'd offered Vanessa the COO position, Chief Operating Officer. The role she'd been building toward, the career she thought she'd have to abandon. After maternity leave, he'd said, take 6 months, a year. Whatever you need, the position will be waiting. We need people we can trust, people with integrity. That's you. She'd accepted, not for Derek's father, for herself, for Elena, for the career she'd earned. Gina visited every week, brought coffee, brought gossip, brought normalcy. You're the office legend, Gina had said yesterday. Everyone wants to be you, the woman who took down the CEO, who exposed the fraud, who rebuilt her life. I don't feel legendary, I feel exhausted. That's motherhood. Wait until she's 6 months. Then you'll feel legendary and exhausted. The civil divorce had been swift. Derek's assets frozen, most going to repay defrauded investors. Vanessa kept her separate pre-marriage accounts, plus settlement from marital assets not tied to fraud. Not millions, but enough. Enough for a safe apartment, Enough for childcare when she returned to work. Enough to raise Elena without Derek's money, without his help, without owing him anything. Patricia had been ruthless. He tried to gaslight you, tried to claim pregnancy hormones made you unstable, made you an unreliable witness. The judge didn't buy it, especially not with your recordings, your documentation, your testimony that held up under cross-examination. Vanessa had testified for 6 hours, Derek's defense team trying to break her, trying to prove she'd fabricated evidence, tried to show she was vindictive, jealous, emotional. But the numbers didn't lie. The offshore accounts existed. The shell companies existed. The 87 million existed. Her emotions were irrelevant to mathematics. The jury had deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Derek's lawyer had approached her afterward. He wants to talk. One conversation. Before he goes to prison, he says he needs closure. Tell him he had 6 years to talk. He used them to lie, to steal, to plan my exit. He doesn't get closure. He gets consequences. Elena stirred, finished eating. Vanessa burped her gently, changed her diaper, laid her back in the bassinet. The baby settled, drifted back to sleep. The resilience of infants, the ability to sleep through anything, to trust that the world would be there when they woke. Vanessa envied that trust. She'd lost it years ago. Maybe with Derek, maybe before. Hard to pinpoint when trust became performance, when love became convenience. Her phone lit up. Text from unknown number. The anonymous friend who'd started everything. You're doing amazing. She's beautiful. You're both going to be fine. This is Marcus Webb, by the way. Figured it was time to stop being mysterious. Vanessa stared at the message. Marcus Webb, the SEC forensic accountant. He'd been the anonymous friend all along. She called. He answered on the first ring. Why didn't you tell me it was you? She asked. Plausible deniability. If things went wrong, if Derek figured out who was helping you, I needed separation. Protection. For both of us. But why help at all? You were already investigating. You already had most of the evidence. We had the financial evidence, but we didn't have the human evidence. We didn't have you, and more importantly, Lydia didn't want another woman to go through what her sister went through. Lydia? Lydia Cross, junior analyst at Sterling. She discovered the fraud 6 months ago. Came to us. We've been building the case ever since. But when she saw what happened in that board meeting, when she saw Amber kick your chair and Derek laugh, she couldn't stay silent anymore. Vanessa remembered Lydia. Quiet, efficient, always in the background, always watching. She saved me, Vanessa said. You saved yourself. She just gave you the tools. The rest, testifying, cooperating, surviving, that was all you. Can I thank her? Can I at least tell her what her help meant? She'd like that. I'll give you her number. Fair warning, though, she's nervous, worried she overstepped, worried she put you in danger. She put me in position to protect myself. That's different. They talked for 20 minutes about the case, about the trial, about life after exposure. Marcus had worked hundreds of corporate fraud cases, seen countless families destroyed, countless lives ruined. But I've never seen someone handle it like you did, he said. Most whistleblowers fall apart. Depression, anxiety, regret. You seem okay, tired, but okay. I spent 6 years falling apart quietly, in private, making myself small enough to fit Derek's vision. This, she looked around her tiny apartment, at Elena sleeping peacefully, at the life she'd built from wreckage. This is me putting myself back together, loudly, on my terms. After they hung up, Vanessa texted Lydia. Thank you for caring about a stranger. Thank you for seeing what I couldn't see yet. Thank you for giving me the evidence I needed to protect myself and my daughter. Coffee sometime? Response came immediately. Yes, please. I've been so worried about you, about whether I did the right thing. Coffee next week? Next week. Bring pictures of your sister. I want to hear her story too. Vanessa set down her phone. The city glowed through her windows. Lights, lives, stories unfolding in every apartment, every building, every block. Somewhere out there, Melissa was living her life after Derek. After loss, after rebuilding, Dr. Sullivan had given Vanessa her number. She wanted you to have it when you're ready. No pressure. Just if you need someone who understands, someone who survived him, she's there. Vanessa hadn't called yet, wasn't ready, but soon. When Elena was a little older, when the chaos settled, she'd call. She'd thank the woman whose tragedy had warned her, had given her the information that saved her baby's life. Dawn filtered through the windows, pink and gold. Elena stirred, woke, hungry again. Vanessa lifted her daughter, settled into the rocking chair, the rhythm of feeding, of bonding, of building trust through reliability. "We're going to be okay," Vanessa whispered. "Better than okay. We're going to be free." 3 months later, Vanessa pushed Elena's stroller through Central Park. Autumn leaves gold and red, crisp air, perfect October afternoon. Elena was 5 months old now, smiling, giggling, reaching for everything. The world was endlessly fascinating to her. Every leaf, every bird, every stranger's face. Vanessa envied that. The ability to trust without history, to love without fear, to experience joy without immediately calculating its cost. "You'll learn," she told Elena. "The world will teach you to be careful. But right now, you get to just be, and I'm going to protect that as long as I can." They passed the playground. Mothers with toddlers, nannies with charges, normal chaos of normal lives. The life Vanessa was building. Slowly, carefully, authentically. Her phone rang. "Patricia." The final settlement came through. Derek's remaining assets liquidated. After repaying investors and legal fees, there's $2 million left. You're entitled to half. "I don't want his money. It's not his money. It's marital assets accumulated before the fraud. Legally yours. And Vanessa, you'll need it. Childcare isn't cheap. Housing in New York isn't cheap. Take it. Use it to build security. Fine, put it in a trust for Elena. I'll pay for childcare from my salary when I go back to work next month." "You're really going back?" "Robert said he'd extend your leave if you need it." "I need to work. I need to be VP of operations, not Derek's ex-wife, not the whistleblower, just Vanessa Sterling, executive. That's who I want Elena to see." "Okay, but take the money. You earned it." Earned. 6 years of marriage, 6 years of building his company, 6 years of making him look good while he stole. You're entitled to compensation for that. After they hung up, Vanessa thought about it. The money, the settlement, the tangible proof that her years hadn't been wasted, hadn't been meaningless. She'd use it for Elena, for college, for opportunities, for the life she'd never had, private school, travel, books, everything that money could buy that Derek never used it for. Her phone rang again. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Vanessa, this is Melissa Sterling. I hope it's okay that I'm calling. Dr. Sullivan gave you my number months ago, and I've been wanting to reach out, but I wasn't sure if you'd want to hear from me." Vanessa stopped walking, sat on a bench, Elena babbling happily in her stroller. "I want to hear from you," Vanessa said. "I've been meaning to call. I just didn't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything. I saw the news, the trial, everything you went through, and I wanted you to know you're not alone. I know what he does, how he makes you doubt yourself, how he makes you feel like you're crazy for seeing what's right in front of you." The gaslighting. Constant. For 3 years. By the end, I didn't trust my own memories, my own perception. He told me I was emotional, hormonal, hysterical, and I believed him. Until the baby. Her voice cracked. Until I lost everything. "I'm sorry for your loss, for what he put you through." "Don't be sorry, be angry. Stay angry because that's what saves you." I spent 2 years trying not to be angry, trying to forgive, trying to understand, and all it did was make me smaller, sadder, lost. What changed? I moved to Oregon, started over, met someone new, someone kind, someone who thought my emotions were valid instead of problems to manage. And I realized I wasn't the problem. Derek was. He's always been the problem. And Vanessa? You're not the problem either. Tears slid down Vanessa's cheeks. She hadn't cried through the trial, through the testimony, through the chaos, but Melissa's words broke something open. "Thank you," Vanessa whispered, "for calling, for caring, for surviving and building something new. It helps, knowing it's possible. It's more than possible. It's inevitable. You're already doing it. You have your daughter, your career, your truth. That's more than I had. That's more than Derek ever let me have. You won, Vanessa. Not just legally. You actually won." They talked for an hour, compared notes, compared patterns, the same lies Derek had told both of them, the same manipulation tactics, the same performance of concern masking contempt. "He did this to someone before me too," Melissa said. "I found out later. College girlfriend, got her pregnant, convinced her to terminate. She did, then he dumped her, said she was too damaged, too emotional, too much work. He's done this his whole life. Probably. Men like Derek don't wake up at 40 and suddenly become cruel. They practice, they perfect, they learn what works. And people like us, we want to believe the best. We want to trust. So we become convenient targets." After they hung up, Vanessa sat with Elena, watching leaves fall, watching people pass, watching life continue despite everything. "Your father is a pattern," she said to Elena, "not a person, a repeated behavior. And patterns can be predicted, prevented, stopped. That's what we did. We stopped the pattern." She thought about Melissa's college girlfriend, about Melissa, about herself, about Amber, who'd become a different kind of victim, about all the women Derek had used, discarded, erased. The pattern ended with her, with exposure, with consequences. No more convenient victims, no more easy targets. Her phone buzzed. Text from Gina. "Lunch tomorrow. New place opened in Tribeca. My treat. Bring Elena. She needs to see Auntie Gina." Vanessa smiled, texted back, "Yes, 1 o'clock. Can't wait." Normal plans, normal friendship, normal life emerging from chaos. She pushed Elena's stroller toward home. The baby had fallen asleep, tiny face peaceful, trusting that she'd be safe, that Vanessa would protect her, that the world was okay. And maybe it was. Not perfect, not easy, but okay. Survivable, sometimes even beautiful. Back at the apartment, Vanessa opened her laptop, started drafting her return-to-work plan, operations restructuring proposal, efficiency improvements, the work she loved, the career she'd built, the identity that existed independent of Derek, independent of the trial, independent of everything except her own competence. Robert had called last week. "The board wants you to present at the annual investor meeting. Tell the story, how you discovered the fraud, how you protected the company, how we're rebuilding. They want transparency, honesty. You represent that." "I don't want to be the fraud story," Vanessa had said. "I want to be the operations story, the efficiency story, the success story." "You're all of them, and investors need to see that. They need to see that Sterling Industries has integrity again, that we protect whistleblowers, that we value truth over convenience. You embody that." She'd agreed, not because she wanted the attention, but because she wanted other women to see, to know, that exposing fraud didn't end careers, that telling truth didn't destroy lives, that fighting back was possible. Elena woke, hungry again. Vanessa fed her, changed her, played with her, the rhythm of motherhood, the endless idyll of needs met, trust built, love demonstrated through action. "I spent 6 years making myself smaller so he'd love me," Vanessa whispered. "I don't even recognize that woman anymore. But you'll never know her. You only get the woman who knew her worth, who fought for truth, who chose you over everything." The baby grabbed Vanessa's finger, held tight, the grip of someone who knew she was safe, who knew she was loved, who knew she mattered. That grip was everything. Worth the chaos, worth the exposure, worth the rebuilding, worth choosing truth even when lies were convenient. 6 months later, Vanessa walked into Sterling Industries at 7 in the morning, first day back full-time. Elena was 8 months old now, happy, healthy, thriving in daycare 3 blocks from the office. The building looked the same, glass and steel, modern architecture, success embodied in design. But everything felt different because she felt different. Her office had been updated, fresh paint, new furniture, nameplate on the door, Vanessa Sterling, Chief Operating Officer, COO, the position she'd worked toward for 8 years, the position Derek had planned to erase, the position she'd earned anyway. Robert knocked on her open door. "Welcome back. How does it feel?" "Right, it feels right." "Good, because we have a lot of work to do, restructuring operations, rebuilding trust, proving Sterling Industries can be ethical and profitable." "Think you're up for it?" "I'm looking forward to it." He handed her a folder. "Investor presentation. 2 weeks, annual meeting. You're the keynote. The board wants you to tell the story. All of it, the fraud, the exposure, the recovery. They want transparency." Vanessa opened the folder. Outline presentation. Her story, condensed into 30 slides. Professional, clinical, the chaos of her life reduced to bullet points. "I'll do it, but on one condition. We don't make this about me being a victim or a hero. We make it about systems, about the importance of internal controls, about protecting whistleblowers, about building companies where truth is valued over the convenience." Deal. The day passed in meetings, department heads, status updates, operations reviews, the work she'd missed, the work that made sense. Problems with solutions, challenges with strategies, clarity after chaos. Gina stopped by at noon. "Lunch, or are you too important now?" "Never too important for you. Thai place downstairs?" They sat in the corner booth, ordered pad thai, spring rolls, green curry, the food Derek had ordered that last dinner with Amber, but it didn't taste like betrayal anymore. Just tasted like lunch. "So how's it feel being back?" Gina asked. "Good, busy, normal. I'd forgotten what normal felt like." "Elena, okay?" "She's perfect. Daycare says she's social, friendly, curious about everything. She's going to be trouble." "Good. The world needs more women who cause trouble. Speaking of which, did you hear about Amber?" Vanessa's fork paused. "What about her?" "Prison interview. Some podcast about white-collar crime. She's claiming she was manipulated, that Derek controlled everything, that she was victim of his abuse, trying to get sympathy, trying to reduce her sentence. Is it working?" "No, the evidence is too clear. She set up the shell companies. She moved the money. She benefited from the fraud, but she's trying. Rewriting history, playing victim now that playing villain didn't work." Vanessa thought about that, the way people rewrote their stories, made themselves heroes or victims, never just complicated humans making choices. "She wasn't completely wrong," Vanessa said. "Derek did manipulate her, the same way he manipulated me, the same way he manipulates everyone, but manipulation doesn't erase choice. She still chose to steal, chose to hurt me, chose to participate. She's not a victim. She's a conspirator with a sob story." Damn, that's harsh. That's honest. I spent 6 years making excuses. For Derek, or for myself, for the life I was pretending to live. I'm done with excuses. For anyone, including her. After lunch, Vanessa returned to her office, found a package on her desk. No return address, no indication of sender. Inside, a book, Rising Strong by Brené Brown. Marked passages about failure, about falling, about getting back up with new wisdom. And a note, for the woman who fell and landed on her feet. A friend. Not Marcus this time. Not Lydia. Someone else. Someone still watching. Still caring. Still invested in her success. Vanessa smiled, put the book on her shelf between operations manuals and efficiency studies. Reminder that success wasn't just about profit margins. Sometimes success was just surviving, just rebuilding, just refusing to stay down. Her phone rang. Patricia. "Good news. Derek's appeal was denied. He's serving the full 15 years, no early release, no reduction. And the judge added a provision. He can't contact Elena until she's 18. And even then, Only if she initiates contact. Good. You don't sound relieved. I stopped worrying about Derek months ago. He's irrelevant now. Just a man in prison who made bad choices. He doesn't get to occupy space in my thoughts anymore. That's growth. That's survival. I have an 8-month-old, a demanding job, a life to build. Derek is background noise. Static, easily ignored. After work, Vanessa picked up Elena from daycare. The baby squealed when she saw her, reached for her. Perfect trust, perfect love. They walked to the park. Elena in the carrier on Vanessa's chest, warm weight, steady heartbeat, the rhythm of life continuing. The playground was full. Parents, nannies, children of all ages. Vanessa found an empty bench, sat, watched. A woman approached, about Vanessa's age. Is it okay if I sit? Everywhere else is full. Of course. They sat in comfortable silence, watching kids play, watching parents chase, watching life unfold. How old? The woman asked, gesturing at Elena. 8 months? You? 10 months. Boy, he's the one eating sand by the slide. They laughed, shared the knowing look of mothers, the exhaustion, the joy, the constant vigilance. First? The woman asked. Yes, you? Third, trust me, it gets easier and harder, but mostly easier. Are you married? The woman's expression shifted. Divorced, he cheated. I found out. He blamed me, said I was too focused on the kids, too tired, too much work, so I left. Best decision I ever made. I'm divorced too, Vanessa said. He's in prison, fraud, also cheating, but the fraud is what got him. Good. Men like that, they should face consequences. Agreed. They talked for an hour about motherhood, about divorce, about rebuilding, about the life after betrayal, the life that looked nothing like the one they'd planned, but somehow felt more real. You seem okay, the woman said, not bitter, not broken. How? Vanessa thought about it. The question she'd been asking herself for months. How was she okay? How had she survived? How had she rebuilt? I stopped making myself small, Vanessa said. I spent years shrinking, making myself convenient, making myself useful, trying to be enough. And I realized I was already enough. Just as I was. He wasn't. His love wasn't. His approval wasn't. Once I knew that, really knew it, everything else became easier. I needed to hear that, thank you. They exchanged numbers, made plans for a play date, new friend, new connection, new life being built, one conversation at a time. Vanessa walked home as the sun set, Elena asleep in the carrier, city lights coming on. The world transforming from day to night, from work to rest, from chaos to peace. Back at the apartment, Vanessa laid Elena in her crib. The baby stirred but didn't wake. Comfortable, safe, loved. Vanessa opened her laptop, pulled up the investor presentation. 30 slides about fraud, about exposure, about survival, about the woman she'd become. She started rewriting. Not the corporate version, the true version. The story of a woman who'd spent 6 years being convenient, who'd finally gotten angry enough to stop, who'd risked everything to tell the truth, who'd survived. The story other women needed to hear. The story that said, you can leave, you can fight, you can rebuild, you can be more than convenient. She wrote until midnight, until the presentation became more than slides, became testimony, became truth. The hardest part about betrayal isn't what they did. It's accepting you can't go back and fix it, can't rewrite history, can't make the lie true. You can only go forward. And some days forward is just making it through breakfast. But other days forward is standing in front of investors, telling your truth, rebuilding a company, raising a daughter, living a life that's real instead of performed. Those days make the hard days worth it. Vanessa saved the presentation, closed her laptop, checked on Elena one more time. The baby slept peacefully, tiny chest rising and falling, tiny fist curled by her face. We're going to be just fine, Vanessa whispered, maybe even happy. She climbed into bed, her bed, in her apartment, in her life. The life she'd built from wreckage. The life that belonged to no one but herself. Outside, the city hummed. Millions of lives. Millions of stories. Millions of people surviving. Rebuilding. Refusing to stay down. Vanessa was just one of them. But she was one of them. And that was enough. The baby monitor crackled. Elena stirring. Not crying, just moving. Settling into deeper sleep. Vanessa listened. The sound of her daughter breathing. The sound of life continuing. The sound of survival turned into thriving. She closed her eyes, drifted towards sleep. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new meetings, new problems to solve, but also new possibilities, new connections, new moments of joy. Tomorrow she'd present to the board, tell her story, build credibility for Sterling Industries and for herself, prove that truth was worth more than convenience. Tomorrow she'd pick up Elena from daycare, listen to her babble, watch her explore, protect her wonder. Tomorrow she'd keep building, keep growing, keep refusing to be small. But tonight she just slept, deeply, peacefully, without fear. The sleep of someone who'd survived betrayal, exposed fraud, protected the innocent, rebuilt from nothing. The sleep of someone who finally knew her worth. The sleep of someone who was free. So that's Vanessa's story. From a chair hitting the floor in a board meeting to federal agents bursting through those same doors. From convenient wife to the woman who chose truth over comfort. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt invisible or convenient, or like you had to make yourself smaller to fit someone else's vision, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Your story matters too. And if you found value in Vanessa's journey, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories. People who need to hear that fighting back is possible, that starting over isn't failure, it's courage, that you're not alone. Subscribe to the channel for more true stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Stories of survival, of transformation, of women and men who refuse to stay down. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, someone who's making themselves small, someone who's choosing comfort over truth, someone who needs permission to be angry, to fight back, to know their worth. Drop a comment telling me what part of Vanessa's story hit you hardest. Was it the chair, the wire, the moment she walked through her house at 2 a.m. memorizing what she was about to leave? I read every comment. Your insights add depth to these stories. Next week, we'll dive into another incredible story. Another person who faced impossible choices and found strength they didn't know they had. You won't want to miss it. Until then, remember Vanessa's words. I spent 6 years making myself smaller, so he'd love me. I don't even recognize that woman anymore. You deserve more than convenient. You deserve real. You deserve truth. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next story.